Well, hello nice people, how are you doing? And willkommen in the Kosher Schloss, that's right, the Kosher Schloss. And welcome to my lounge room, and I gotta tell you, I'm reading the worst garbage. The Germanic persecution of the Slavs is continuing because it says here, and I've got it on good authority from this archaeological magazine with pictures of Zahi Hawass on top. Study suggests early Slav first wrote with runes. That's right, the early Slavs didn't have their own alphabet. They had to get it from the Germans. That's right. That's what it's saying here. It says here, Brno, Czech Republic, reports that a fragment of inscribed cow bone unearthed in the southern Czech Republic dated to around 600 AD, indicating that Germanic runes were employed in the region before the invention of the Slavic alphabet in the 9th century by the Christian monks Cyril and Methodius. The runes inscribed on the bone are the elder Futhark script, which was used by German speakers in Central Europe from the 2nd to the 7th centuries. According to Robert Nedoma of the University of Vienna, the last 7 of the 24 signs of the elder Futhark script were inscribed on the bone fragment. The international team of scientists who analysed the bones concluded it may have been used as a teaching tool. Interesting. And that's it. Right. What a load of garbage. What a load of garbage. And I have to say, they're ignoring some of my discoveries, which are, freely available on my channel. This is interesting because according to the conventional history, you see what's happening here. The Slavs actually were invented in 600 AD. They didn't exist before that. What happens is they dematerialized. They popped up out of the ether. They actually are from another timeline, according to conventional history, and they came out of a wormhole. And they mysteriously somehow occupied the same identical territories, right down to the very dikes and borders, the absolute identical borders of a people who had exactly the same name before them, the Swevs. Exactly the same name. You pronounce it, the West Slavs pronounce Slav the same way. Slav is a Russian way of pronouncing Svev. The West Slavs call them Swevs. This is garbage. We've shown that alphabet that is mentioned, the Glagolitic alphabet, must have been an alphabet used by a forgotten empire in the East. This is the empire that kept the Romans south of the Danube. They kept them to the Danube. This is the empire that fought against the Romans in the Marcomannic Wars. It was all a unified bunch of Suevic people. And then this unified bunch of Suevic people, then they actually formed an alliance with Iranian tribes in the south, and they all attacked Rome together. They all crossed the Danube. Rome was pretty helpless for a decade or so, but then they eventually got their land back, and they made an uneasy peace. But 400 years later, those same Swevs crossed the border, conquering Spain and North Africa and Italy. And I'm prepared to say in conjunction with German tribes, whereas the more Germans, which I think are from Atlantis, the pure Germans from Atlantis, they conquered the Netherlands, Spain, and possibly England as well, England and Ireland. And but there's some crossover, there's some overlapping, and that's what happened. That's what happened. This is garbage. We've shown that the Glagolitic alphabet is basically related to the alchemical alphabet. Look up alchemical alphabet. People don't know about it. People don't even know that it exists. But it was an ancient alphabet used for alchemy. We've proven that alchemy originates possibly among the early Indo-Europeans of Eastern Europe, and they then carried it south. They must have carried those principles to Egypt. How? They went through Greece. So the early Swevs and the early Slavs, what happened was they had a democratic system, and they were democratic socialists. Just like in the 20th century, you had all these countries which were social democracies. They had the same system in ancient times. They were actually socialists. They were like the Soviet Union. Yeah, it's true. In modern times, as in ancient times, they had a system where they didn't bother farming. This is the difference between the Germans and the Svev Germans. The Svev Germans didn't farm. The Germans did farm. The Svev Germans lived on wagons. They lived like gypsies, but unlike gypsies, they had their own flocks. Well, some gypsies have flocks, I guess. These Svev Germans who lived in Germania, that's why they're called Germans, They were said to be extremely ferocious. They were protective of their lands. What they did was every man had to be a warrior, and they would go raiding to their borderlands and killing anyone settling on their borderlands. They didn't want anyone on their land. And this is a pattern I can't help but see today in Eastern Europe. I mean, this is what happens. This is how they live. So I got to say, people, that there is so much garbage going out there about the Slavs dematerializing out of thin air. What happened is they probably took and they had a democratic system of government always throughout ancient history, apparently, and they probably took this down through to Greece. They probably conquered Greece and then went south onwards to Egypt, taking their alchemical system, their alchemical alphabet with them. This is incredible. So they had an alchemical alphabet, and they had other alphabets, which I'm going to reveal on my channel, that I've discovered on ancient monuments. They are acting like they were just runes. They don't know that there was a string language, an Aryan string language in Central Asia, which the Irish used, and whose only remains are notches on stones, since all the wood is gone and it's all been obliterated. They don't know any of this. People are so tunnel vision, narrow-minded when it comes to history. It's unbelievable. They are prepared to accept such concepts as that the Slavs dematerialized out of thin air, and they were never there before, and boom, suddenly they were there, and they just appeared out of nowhere. I can't believe the stupidity of these people. And they think there wasn't a massive empire in the East which was sort of controlling Rome and keeping them at bay. This is unbelievable. We only have we have no Roman official government records surviving. We have only the scattered works of a few Roman historians. We don't have any of the information that the Romans actually had in their possession. We have, much less than, you can't even say 1% of 1% of 1%. We have less than that. That's how much information we have. So when I see articles like that the first Slavs used a German alphabet, they just happened to use the runes, they're ignoring the development of alchemy symbols, they're ignoring the development of alchemy among East European linguistics and languages. It's unbelievable. They need to watch my videos and get their head out of their whatever it is and get on with it, basically. And that's my, let's call it the rant of the week from the Kos Schloss. What do you think? Leave your comments below. Has history been suppressed? I think it has been absolutely suppressed. I guess that's the end of the video. Tuning out from the Kos Schloss. Don't forget to tell your friends and enemies all about my channel. And if you really hate my channel and can't stand it, you're probably not the sort of person who has any friends, but you are probably the sort of person who has a lot of enemies. So tell your enemies all about my channel and share it around. Cheers.